No, they put it on the dock.
Oh, they're the ones who asked the question.
Yeah. You put it.
How are we?
Hello. All right. It's still echoing. I'll just make this full volume.
Really?
You should like lower the YouTube volume. Can they even hear?
It's like a filter on this thing.
Should I just not play? Alright. But what was the video that teacher wanted us to share?
Your camera.
It's not.
That's not it.
It's not. It looks like high definition.
Oh, here. No, it's not. Do you know what the Martin video was? So when she was playing.
Oh, she was just sliding the photos. So if you go back to go back to the
Okay.
photos.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn, can't read Korean. What's OCam?
Oh, it's this thing. It's Brandon Chang. I don't read. I mean, I can. How do I make this into a slideshow? Oh, maybe here. Oh, right here. I found it. Oh, and then maybe I'll just share my whole screen.
Yeah.
And then that way I can play the background music. How? Share sound. Oh. Can you guys hear the background music? All right. Alright, don't you need to be in it too? Whenever you guys talk, I could just mute mine and then whoever wants to talk, just unmute theirs. I mean, I'm gonna stop the background music once we start all talking. The questions, right?
Oh, but isn't
No, our voice
our
might
voice
come
gonna come out of there?
Ah. Do I just mute this? While you,
Yeah.
or just talk louder then?
Yeah.
Are you want to test that then? Actually, how do we test it?
Ah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there's only 3 people.
Should we tell them to all turn on their cameras or not?
Not gonna happen. It would just be us. Wait, so how are we? Might as well ask. How are we gonna introduce ourselves?
Just
Name.
name school.
Yeah.
Name school.
Or maybe, actually, no, you don't need to do high school. I don't think you, I mean, if you want, is that too much? Yeah. My parents wouldn't know. Oh, I think I should probably let them in. I'll pick it up. Yeah. Who is this? Is this one of them? Oh, should I invite it then? Right now? Get all the moms in here. Oh, I think I could just admit everyone now. Right?
선생님 로고를 튜브?
Kayıt lupa.
All right, everyone. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can tell by the way we're all gathered here, but today is going to be our annual senior night. Is this our second or third time? I'm not super sure, but this is just gonna be kind of like a send-off for all of the seniors gathered here, as well as a time to kind of get your questions answered about things like college and our voice of calling experiences and stuff like that. So on that note, this will actually also be my last meeting leading as well, because I don't know if you guys remember, but we actually had our presidential elections last week. So if you guys can all give a big hand to Daniel, as he will be leading today's meeting as the new president of operations. Okay.
All right. All right, well, hi, everyone. I'm Daniel, and I'll be leading, and I'll be your new Voice of Calling president for the 2022-2023 school year. And yeah, welcome to today's senior night. I guess we could first start off by kind of introducing the seniors that are here today. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. And then Eric, do you want to start off?
Yeah, sure. So I'm sure you guys already know me. My name is Eric. I am going to be going into UC Berkeley to study electrical engineering and computer science. Nice. Okay, let's go around. Clay, you want to go next?
I think you just.
Hi, my name is Clay, and I'm going to be going to Pepperdine University to major in computer science and mathematics.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I'm going to go to Baylor University for mechanical engineering. Hello, my name is Jason, and I'm going to go to CISA for mechanical engineering.
Hi, my name is Yunju and I'm going to Pomona College for computer science.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm going to MIT to study computer science.
But were you guys able to hear that? I don't know because the mic wasn't picking up. But okay, I guess you guys were able to hear that. And then we have some other seniors who weren't able to make it today. We have Andrew, who will be going to UCLA. Aaron, who's going to be going to UC San Diego. Jennifer, who's going to Carnegie Mellon. Joshua, who's also going to Carnegie Mellon. Julia, who's going to UC San Diego. And Solomon, who's going to Cornell. So give it up for them too. A round of applause. And then, so we do have a couple of questions that you guys have asked for the seniors regarding just voice of calling in general, as well as college admissions process. So we'll dive right into those. And I guess I'll be asking the questions right now, and then the senior is going to give their response. So the first question on the list was, are there any skills that you learned in voice of calling that you feel helps outside the organization? So whoever wants to go first can just talk. Okay. So Solomon wasn't able to make it, but he did give his response. So I'm going to go ahead and read his. So what Solomon said was definitely the main ones for me would be that I learned how to be a better teacher, which entails learning how to better communicate my thoughts to others and how to better listen to what others are saying. So that was Solomon's response. Does anyone else want to go next?
Okay, I can go. So the skills I learned was definitely learning how to communicate with people and like work with them and organize them into teams to work on a project.
Voice of calling was like my first actual leadership experience. So through it, I learned how to be good. So I hope I was a good leader. I learned how to work with people. I think that's a very important skill.
I can go next. I learned to just be able to be patient with other people, as well as also being kind of a new leadership position for me, learning how to like properly get people to do stuff. Yeah.
All right. The next question, so we actually have a lot of questions, so hang in there. But the next question is, any particular moments that stood out to you during your time at Voice of Calling? And I could also just read Solomon's response first. So according to Solomon, he said, my favorite moment was when I taught a specific Python coding camp class with 3 students last summer. The very last day we took pictures together, and it was a heartfelt moment of goodbyes after weeks of fun. Very interesting. All right. Does anyone else want to go? Oh, okay. So apparently they're having a hard time hearing everyone other than Eric. So if you guys could just, I'll just be my mic.
So one of my most particular moments during voice calling was during COVID when we made like the masks and like the face shields and everything. And yeah, I just thought that was one of like the most special moments of voice calling that we had that like kind of kick-started the organization.
One of my favorite moments was probably when I was teaching Scratch to elementary kids, and I liked how they're making games and they're having fun. So yeah, that was one of my favorite moments during the coding camps.
I would say definitely one of my favorite moments during my time here is when during the pandemic when we all gathered together to create masks for different hospitals. That was very interesting since like it was during COVID times and like everything was quarantined and we still managed to like help out the community. So yeah.
All right, and then we'll go on to our next question. So this one's pretty interesting. Many years down the line, if you were to have a kid, and our voice of calling nonprofit was maintained, would you recommend this organization to them, or would you introduce it to them? Well, Solomon just said absolutely, so that's pretty cool. Do you guys have any other answers? Okay, Kevin.
I think I would agree with Solomon. I would probably absolutely have my kid, because not only does it, help with like to grow as a person and give them the opportunity to help others. I think it's also an opportunity to make a lot of friends. I made a lot of close friends from just voice calling. So I think it's just a great opportunity for them.
I think it's also pretty good for college. So if I want my kids,
I agree.
Okay, kind of as I was alluding to previously about the leadership stuff, it's definitely a chance for you to be able to be a bit more involved, and kind of be able to take more responsibility in something outside of school. But even if you weren't willing to necessarily go that far, just kind of the opportunities that voice of calling has provided, like how some people were talking about masks and teaching kids. I think that's definitely not something you're able to see every day. So yeah, I would definitely recommend voice of calling.
All right, okay, with that, we'll go to our next question. So how many hours did you serve for voice of calling, and what was your driving factor in your dedication to this organization? Well, Solomon said, although my spreadsheet might not say it, I estimate I've probably put in maybe 300 or 400 hours at this point. And his driving factors were to help, basically, it says my main driving factors are my motivations to help others and to better myself as a person. So great response by Solomon. And you just want to go again?
Okay, my spreadsheet might also not reflect that, but I also think I've also probably put around 300 to 400 hours. And I think really what kind of drove me to do that was being able to see the direct benefits that was able to come out of me helping. Sorry, there's like a word fly. Like being able to contribute to our team. That was definitely very helpful and kind of gratifying in a sense.
I worked 444 hours. I just checked. And like, okay, they said all the good stuff. So something you made me do work, I just did it.
Next question. So any final advice for those who have recently joined Voice of Calling? Because there's a lot of new members. I guess I'll go ahead and read Solomon's response again. He says, I'd say to really just be willing to put in a little time. If you can dedicate just a little time on a consistent basis to Voice of Calling, it'll pay off dividends later on, which is honestly a great response and a great advice. Because yeah, everyone, although it might not seem like it, your presence here is really needed and everyone's contributions are really helpful to our organization. So even if it's just like TAing for a class, a coding camp, those really help out a lot too. So thank you, everyone, I guess. And any other advice from the seniors? Okay, I guess they don't have any for you guys.
I have advice.
Okay.
I'll share. I would say don't be afraid to kind of push yourself to do a lot of the stuff we have. I know it can seem a little overwhelming at times, but like honestly, we're all teens here, so like I'm sure we're somewhat relatable to you guys, I hope. So like if you're ever confused on something or you're not sure what might be happening, like don't be afraid to ask. And I'm sure just asking around, you'll get a lot of like help on what's happening, things to do, and that's just gonna get you involved in so much more stuff.
I guess, okay, my advice is to stay consistent and intentional. This is another college advice. But if you're planning on writing Voice of Calling for your college apps, and you should probably be working a lot so that it seems legit.
So my advice is try to get to know the people who are involved in calling, because like if this just feels like a chore to you, it's just gonna be kind of like not fun. But if you have people you like in the organization, even doing like the activities like will end up being fun. So that's my advice.
Yeah, everyone's have fun this evening. Everyone had their cameras on. Okay.
All right, well, that wraps up questions regarding our organization. And now we have questions regarding college apps and the admissions process. So the first question is, how much time did you spend on your application? And that includes just writing like essays, personal statements, picking majors, maybe even like picking which colleges you want to apply to. So Solomon said, I spent a lot of time on my applications, maybe 10-ish hours a week on average before deadlines. Definitely try to get as much done as possible during the summer because come senior year, you're going to be bogged down with a lot of classwork and homework and you'll have to keep your grades up. Aim for at least 5 to 10 hours a week during the fall semester and hopefully more during your summer.
I spent a lot. Is it working? Okay. Okay. I spent a lot of time on the essays, like especially like the first couple of ones I wrote so many drafts for those. And then once you have a couple of like really good essays, you can like go ahead and recycle those for a lot of the supplementals, and like you would be set.
Besides that, I think you should also spend a lot of time like researching into colleges, because I know when I went into the college process, I knew some schools, but then like you can have up to like 20 colleges to apply on the Common App, right? So like I didn't know what my top 20 schools were, so I did a lot of research on what different schools, like because I'm majoring in computer science, like I looked at the best computer science school, you know, where they were and like their programs and stuff. So also do that if you have time, like for sure focus on like the bigger ones, but then afterwards I'll look into other colleges.
So I started my essays in the summer. Like as soon as summer started, I started writing my essays. And before I started writing my essays, I obviously did a lot of research on my colleges and my major. Like the main thing you really want to do is like just figure out what you really want to do. especially like, I mean, it's okay to apply undecided, but for me, like, I was really interested in cars and all that stuff. So, because of that, I wanted to become like a race engineer. So I decided to do mechanical engineering, and basically, yeah, I guess.
So next, especially for college applications, I made the mistake of doing it really late during the school year, and let me tell you, not the move whatsoever. You don't have, first of all, you have some like schools to worry about, so like you have less time to do your college essays. So make sure you have time during the summer to just like focus on like what you want to do, what major you want, and like open up your horizons with colleges, especially where you want to go. Don't just select few, make sure you have enough just in case you don't get into one you really wanted to go in. But yeah, that's advice.
And another important thing is like your awards and your volunteer information, all those are very important. So you want to make like okay.
All right. So the next question is, all right, I am stuck between early decisioning to two schools that I both love and think I would be really happy at. How do I choose? So Solomon said, if you really believe both schools fit you equally, then I would look at opportunities, which seem to have better teachers, better research opportunities, better alumni networks. You might like both schools, but no two schools are perfectly matched with each other. So really dig into the details.
Well, I'll give advice. And like as we're giving advice, I just want to preface that we're all students. We're not like professional, like people from admissions offices or anything like that. So do take these with a bit of grain of salt. I still think they still have a lot of validity to them, but I wouldn't make what we're saying like your Bible. Anyways, so I think what Solomon was talking about was definitely very good, like going into the details, looking into not only just like the classes they have and the professors, but what like extracurriculars do they offer? What kind of other networks or stuff like that do they have? And I'm not super sure if you guys have the time or if you guys are in a financial position to do so, but if you are able to do so, I would also strongly recommend visiting the campuses as well that you're kind of deciding between. If that's an option, of course, if that's not, that's completely understandable, but something about just being at the campuses in person will just give you a completely different feel than what you're seeing on a screen, like through virtual tours or through YouTube videos. So that's something that I would highly recommend.
Another thing that's important in picking between two schools is I think like school spirit. Because for my school, they're really known for their football, and the school spirit is really big at our school. So something like that can like get you more, I guess, connections to other people and like a lot of research in schools.
All right. Is it better to spend most of my time on my top choices for school or to just move on and try to make all of my applications better? So Solomon said, I'd say to spend your time first on your safeties and knock them out, and then spend the rest / as much time as you can on your top choices. This way, you don't feel as much pressure writing your first couple applications since you aren't as invested in them, and it gives you practice when it's time to write your dream school's application. Third, it ensues you actually apply to a large variety of schools, which is important. Lastly, you actually have an incentive to work through your first couple of applications, and starting is usually the hardest part.
So instead of focusing on safeties or your top choices, I'd say you should focus on the ones that you have like the most, like you think you have the most like the highest chance of getting accepted. Like for me, my reach schools are like UT Austin. Oh, what else is there? Oh, no, I forgot, but those are like my reach schools. So instead of focusing on your reach or safeties, I'd focus on the ones that like you think you would actually get accepted to. Which was like for me, it was like Texas Tech, Baylor, and all that stuff. So yeah.
I think what Solomon and Sam said were both are pretty good, but I actually did the opposite. I started on like my top colleges, which might have been a mistake, but I felt that like while doing that, I kept changing my essays throughout the entire year, and then because so many of the schools basically have the same supplemental essay prompts, I kind of just copy and pasted and then from different essays. Um, so like starting from your top schools might also be a okay choice because you're just gonna like keep getting better your essays over and over again, and then those essays will like be able to be used for other colleges and universities.
Is there any advice you could give looking back on your own college application process? Solomon says, this sounds pretty cliche, but honestly, I'd say my piece of advice is that your essays need to be the best pieces of writing you've ever written. Write essays you look proudly on. Good grades will get you a foot in the door, and by the time you're writing your college apps, odds are your extracurriculars are set. A set of fantastic essays can be the deciding factor in getting into a certain school.
I'll share some advice. I feel like a lot of this advice is going to be forgotten by the time you guys actually start writing your essays. So I'll share some advice about picking the colleges that you choose to apply to, because that's probably more applicable right now. When you guys do start kind of looking into which ones to apply to, I think try not to chase after the prestige, but rather try to look into this is also cliche, but like look into which college really is a fit for you. So as Solomon was talking about, like looking into the finer details about what kind of opportunities the campus offers, and as Sam was talking about, like the school spirit and the campus culture, kind of that is really going to be making up the bulk of your experience in college. And you don't want to be miserable for 4 years in a place that's super prestigious, right? But you don't enjoy going. So
Expect disappointment, so you don't get your feelings too hurt later.
Are there any more things a rising senior can do to boost their applications at this point? According to Solomon, I'd say to keep your grades as high as possible and really get to bond with your teachers. My grades are actually the best my senior semester, and odds are your teacher is writing your rec around the same time you're writing your applications. So really talk to them and connect with them.
To be honest, in my opinion, there's really nothing you can do as a rising senior unless like you're like in like our coding thing and then you win like first place in like the individual tournament for like ACSL or something. Because practically everything that you need to have a good application, with you have to have all of them by junior year, especially like your teacher recs. Those are all your junior year teachers. So yeah, if you really wanted a good rec letter, you would have to be with your teachers in junior year. You didn't. That sucks.
One last thing you can do right now, which it might be kind of late, is like doing an internship, a job. Because I know some colleges have like a job that you've done. I didn't do a job back in or before senior year, but I think even like doing one is like a good opportunity to learn, and it will help out your college application. So if you have time, like you can apply right now, but you have to do it pretty soon.
It's not over till it's over. For most colleges, you can keep updating like awards and honors until like the results come out. So if you have any competitions you want to apply to, even in like January and like late spring, just do it.
I also know that we talked a lot about essays, but like your extracurriculars are like heavily like, I guess, slept on. So like make sure that you're like painting all of that in the best light and spending um a bit more time than you might have expected on kind of refining that list and making sure that everything you've done these past 4 years is, or past 3, because you're a junior, these past 3 years is like painted in the best possible light.
Okay, then moving on. Did you think you would be attending the school you are planning to go to at the time of your application? Well, Solomon just said nope. So, what do you guys think?
I think I knew I was like most likely gonna attend Baylor because I early decision to Baylor, mainly because I wanted to go to college in Texas because my whole family was moving there, and well obviously I applied to like UT Austin, all those like big ET schools, but I thought it would be a more logical decision to early decision to a school that I kind of like wanted to go, and like something that was like more fit for me, I guess. Yeah.
I didn't know at all. When I applied to the Pomona, it wasn't my first choice because I didn't really know about it. But then once you get accepted to colleges, you start to want to go, even if like, you never even thought about it, even if you just did it just because your mom made you do it or whatever. Once you get accepted, you're like, oh wait, this is like nice college. Like I really want to go. And then so yeah, I'm now going to Pomona. And then you like go to MIT.
Well, MIT was my first choice. I hope to go there, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna get in, right? So.
Okay, were you involved in any extracurricular school clubs or athletics outside of Voice of Calling? If so, how do you think it helped you with the application process? Solomon said, absolutely. Good extracurriculars are fundamental to any good application. They don't have to be perfectly matched with your major because colleges know most 17-year-olds don't know what they want to do yet. Just have activities that show proactiveness, leadership, and that you spent your time doing things you were actually interested in, and have something to show for doing them. I guess like kind of like evidence that you did it. Well, if you guys could share any more specific extracurriculars that you did, then.
Definitely like doing leadership roles at your school specifically is very good. Like I was the leader of my math club at Harvard Westlake. Like also sports will help a little bit. I think fencing at also Harvard Westlake. I know Sam did fencing at Chaminade. Yeah, just like having leadership positions, like because a lot of people probably might be going to computer science here, like doing something, the computer science team or something at at your school. Like I had a ACSL team at Harvard Westlake as well. So doing stuff like that will. But yeah, there's a Stempia one, but doing it at your school will also help a lot.
Yeah, over the years, a lot of colleges have started to favor EQ over IQ. And so all of these extracurriculars are definitely helpful, especially if they reflect what your major is going to be. That's very helpful.
Yeah, so like as Yunju was saying, like colleges don't want to be accepting robots, they want to be accepting humans. So I think definitely activities that kind of reflect the major that you want to go into are definitely very good in the sense that they know that you want to like study that. But even if you have no idea what you want to study, just kind of broadening out is definitely very useful. So I'm personally, I do a lot of music. So besides kind of like the typical piano violin, I also do play the electric bass, and I've also produced some music of my own. So kind of being able to, kind of being able to speak to that was also, I think, kind of what helped me to like set me apart.
Any advice for time management, especially for people who are applying to 10+ schools? A lot of seniors here are shaking their heads, but Solomon said a lot of colleges, Solomon said a lot of colleges have very similar essay prompts, so definitely recycle your essays.
All right, so I applied to 15 colleges this summer. And the only advice I have for time management was, well, basically I had pretty good time management because I had a schedule that was like set because I had a college essay tutor and a college like counselor to help me with all that. So I basically started in June, and even though I started in June, like I was like, I think for my I think it was my UT Austin essay. I submitted it, I think 20 minutes before the deadline. Because I don't know, like the essay was really bad. So I had to keep writing it over and over. So if you're applying 10+, it's just mainly having a set in stone schedule and starting early.
If you wait until the last day to submit your application, the portal will crash. So don't wait.
Um, yeah, as someone's speaking to, make sure to stick to a schedule, and if yeah, also guys, like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and like all those other social medias are such a like time sinkhole. Like try to limit that as much as possible, because you'll like open it and like 3 hours will go by.
Yeah, so something you could do is like, well, like plan out a schedule for sure, but then something you could do like on your in your days is like have a certain amount of time you want to do and then put like a reward after. So you kind of incentivize yourself, like maybe like you're okay, you're gonna do like 2 hours of essay writing, and then after that is like 30 minutes of TikTok or YouTube or whatever. So you kind of incentivize yourself to do it.
You know what also helps? Punishments. If you have like a scary mom, oh my god.
My essay writing was so my college essay tutor was pretty smart. He got into like, I think he goes to Harvard right now, and he basically had this exercise for me where instead of like actually trying to write a draft, you just write anything that's in your head. So even if you're like thinking then you write like and everything, and then like later on you like delete everything, like, and you just like edit it. So I think that helped me out the most because you just write anything that's in your head, and it's just like you're just mindlessly typing. And once you're there, because essays aren't really like it's mainly just like storytelling kind of. So yeah.
Yeah, also essays aren't just one and done. You always have to revise because there's always more story to tell than just what was on your mind to begin with. So just make sure that if you feel confident in like your first draft was like good enough, think again because there might be more you want to talk about.
This one might be a little bit personal, but were you accepted into your dream school? If not, what could you have done differently to maybe change the outcome? So Solomon said, did not know I'd be going to Cornell in 11th grade. But after visiting during the summer and doing research, it kind of became my dream school by the time I submitted my application. And looking ahead, I think everything worked out in the end because I'm in the best spot I could be.
I'll add something. I know Yunju was talking about this before about like wanting to go to college by the time you're accepted. So even if you aren't accepted into your dream school, by the time you start looking into it, like once you're accepted, it probably will become your dream school. So don't fret too much about, oh, I'm like destined for Dartmouth or whatever, guys.
To be honest, my dream school was UC San Diego, and I was looking more into the college. Well, obviously, I applied to UC San Diego, and I got rejected. um, the one thing that like after I did more research as a deal breaker is like UC San Diego, the campus is really dead. It's like it's actually like there's like no one there. There's other people going to like if you want to have like a good like college experience there, you have to have a lot of like
So you want to go
here.
to
Like I have a friend. Yeah, well, I really want to go there because San Diego's their mechanical engineering is like ranked like 7 in the nation or something like that. And I have a friend who goes there and he says it's really dead. It's like nothing there. Yeah. Okay, next.
Well, moving on. Okay. This one is also kind of personal too, I guess. If you're not comfortable sharing, you don't have to. But how important are AP scores in the admissions process? And obviously, if you're comfortable sharing, what did your like AP scores look like? Solomon says you don't need a bunch of 5s on your APs, but you should have a good mix of 4s and 5s to show your academic achievements. That's what I had. Oh, good for Solomon.
To be honest, I think a lot of like your AP scores don't matter that much because you can just not include them in your application, I'm pretty sure. So the ones you get 5s on, like definitely include because they can also provide besides your application, which it'll help like a little bit. It'll also help with like credit when you go to college, which is super nice to not have to take classes that you like already have taken basically in high school.
Oh, and another thing is like you might think a 3 is good enough, but like most colleges don't accept credit for college unless you get a 4 or higher, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah.
Don't get too hung up about the score though. Yeah, a number does not define you guys.
Did you take any college courses outside of school? If so, do you think those classes were helpful overall during the admissions process? Solomon took a chemistry class and he said, I personally don't think they help too much. So I guess do other things than college courses. I don't know.
I took AP Comp Sci A during school and I took principles during the summer. Honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't think they really matter. Just like if you're like a sophomore, then just like chill during your summer. And if you're a junior, just write your raps.
Okay, I think opposite because I've known some people that have done like a lot of college like courses over the summer during their 4 years of college, and if you do good, you can like skip a lot of stuff in college and like potentially skip a year of school. So it honestly depends on if you're like committed to like having one less year of college, but like that's really up to you.
If you think about it, you can also take college courses in the summer of your college. So I think it was Derek. So we know a guy named Derek. He graduated like a year early because he had a lot of college credits. He had a lot of summer courses in college.
Also, something to note is I think some schools allow you to put your college courses into your transcript, which affects your GPA. So if you're looking to pursue GPA, that might be an option.
Moving on. Did you partake in any research projects? If so, do you think those projects gave you a boost in the college admissions process? And also, if you guys want, you could briefly talk about a project that you worked on. Solomon said, I did one. Research is super important in admissions, so if you find opportunities, take them, exclamation mark. They're a huge admissions boost. Does anyone want to talk about like one project that they worked on?
So I worked on a tax CFD, which is also a part of what's calling. I'm not sure if it helped too much, but it with the application itself, but it's something to talk about with your interviewers. So for like almost all of my interviews, I think I talked about that about a tax CFD. So it is kind of useful for like a topic because in a lot of interviews, like if you don't have questions prepared, which you should prepare questions, like a lot of the time could be taken up by like your activities and a research project is one very large activity.
If you're planning on majoring, oh, I skipped the question, my bad. What was one important factor that you kept in mind while writing your college essays? Why was that the most important factor to you? Solomon said, I think it's important to write about things important to you and to make your essays genuine. If you truly are passionate about what you write about, it'll show. I think that's a really good advice. Okay, yeah, apparently Solomon, yeah, that is the answer. There's only one answer for that. Be genuine and be true to yourself. All right. So this question is regarding to people who are majoring in comp sci. So if you're planning on majoring in computer science, what did your extracurricular look like? Awards, volunteer, research, projects, anything? Well, Solomon's not majoring in comp sci, so anyone else who is? I guess the question is more like, was your extracurriculars like really revolving around comp sci, or did you have like other stuff too?
So my extracurricular consisted of voice of calling, obviously, and like other non-comp science extracurricular, but you definitely want to have something related to coding, like ACSL awards or like your Python, like the Python Microsoft certificate, because that's what I have, and Java or anything just related to comp science would be good. But you don't, all your extracurricular does not have to be computer science to major in computer science.
I think most of mine were in computer science. I think only a few of my other ones that were not computer science, like music and some other stuff. But I don't, yeah, what Clay said works. You don't all have to be. I also don't think they want everything to be computer science because it just looks like you're only a computer science person, which is kind of boring. Not gonna lie. So yeah, put some other stuff, put some fun stuff. I don't know, like do sport or something, or do music, like that.
Yeah, colleges generally look for a very well-rounded person. So if you are planning to major in comp sci, definitely, apply to a lot of competitions. And voice of calling. But also whatever opportunities you might have in other things like music or any other school like academic clubs, definitely go ahead and take those opportunities.
Moving on. Did you do college consulting? If so, was it helpful and do you recommend to others? Solomon did, and he said, while it was certainly kind of helpful, I don't think you need it to do well in admissions.
Okay. Well, I did it, and I think it was one of the main factors that I got into a college, honestly, because personally, I don't have good organization, and having someone who is specialized in that field to be able to like tell you like, oh, this activity is more important than this one and all that stuff, and like because that person is very like experienced in that field, they like know which activities for which college like the admissions officers like prefers. So
Personally, I did not do any college consulting, and I turned out fine. So I would say like I kind of as Sam was talking about before, if I think it definitely helps if you kind of are able to push yourself and kind of motivate yourself to kind of go out and like uh do the research by yourself rather than kind of having the help there. But yeah, don't feel financially pressured to do it, guys.
Also, just college counseling and like consulting is just to help you through your college process. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do it. Like like Eric said, if you're like focused on what you want to do, you really don't need it. But like it's always there if you need it, if you need the help. So yeah.
yeah, and they're not there to like write your essay, especially for essay tutors. Like a lot of people have the thought of like, oh, they're just gonna help like write my essay, but what they're just gonna do is, man, you just like write your essay and they just look over it, tell you what to fix, and you have to rewrite it again. So you have to be prepared to put in all the work.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is it doesn't necessarily guarantee you in your admission to college. It's just I guess another like person looking over your essays who happen to have a lot of experience, but I guess you don't necessarily need it. Well, this is the last question for tonight. And it's what is one thing you want to do most once you head off to college? Okay, Solomon's answer is I want to take Cornell's ice cream making class and win best flavor, so my flavor gets permanently added to the ice cream eatery, which is very interesting. Well, I support Solomon in his dreams.
I support him too.
All right, everyone just okay. So Eric,
Come back to me.
come back to Eric.
Probably definitely gonna go to the beach a lot because my school is a beach school. It's in Malibu, so yeah.
One thing I want to do is join this thing called Baja. You basically build a race car and race it.
Something I'm looking forward to is more like looking towards the future. So I've talked to many people during robotics because I've done robotics, and I've been talking to Disney people, and like during junior year of college is when internship opportunities arises for Disney. So that's what I'm currently looking forward to.
My dad.
Pomona gives music lessons for free, so I was thinking of like picking up the harp or something.
I'm sorry to you. I want to keep working on guitar and then eventually maybe join a band at MIT.
Actually, yeah, thank you. I'm gonna take your idea, Kevin. I always wanted to join a punk band, so I wanna join a punk band, be a bassist. So it'll be really cool.
So when I come back to California,
SoCal skate punk.
Band featuring Kevin and Eric. Well, that's all the questions we have for today. Oh, well, if you guys have any follow-up questions or just any questions you thought of while listening, you guys could go ahead and feel free to ask, type in the chat. Yeah, so do you guys have any questions? Last minute questions?
It can be about college our personal lives, really anything.
Yeah, like literally anything. Like, what did you eat for dinner? Something, I don't know.
We don't fight.
Oh yeah, but also go ahead and mark your service hours. The end time is 7:31.
Guys, who do you listen to?
Favorite artist.
Yeah. What's your favorite artist? J. Cole. I've never heard of J. What's J. Cole?
Do you want to wrap it up for us then? Eric?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Tell the new members to yeah.
All right. Well then, thank you everyone for coming. I know that was pretty long, but thank you for hanging in there with us. And yeah, I just want to congratulate the seniors one more time for their hard work and dedication to Voice of Calling. And yeah, everyone give them a round of applause. The reaction thing. All right. I guess I'll see you guys all. Huh? Oh, if you want, change your service hours to 7:32. Oh, did it? What happened? Okay. Yeah, so feel free to go ahead and leave the meeting now. I'll see you guys next week, unless you're a new member. New member stays behind. Did he leave? No, there was one. I think he left. Oh,
New members still here, okay? Please
Oh,
stay.
okay. Oh, new member is here.
What?
Wait,
Alright.
I thought President rule was transferred over on August 1st. Yeah, it's only like an hour away. I did, I took like ride one train back.
Okay,
there.
she's my mother.
Who's the new member?
All right, guys, I'm gonna start slowly kicking out each one of you guys.
I
Oh,
think they're AFK or something.
MG iPhone. All right, okay, Brandon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, crap, I forgot. Okay, sorry, can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, hot. So this is not actually my laptop, so I'm just gonna be winging it. So normally we have a presentation that we share. Dang, this webcam shows up here. So normally we have a presentation that we share for all the new members, but because this is not my laptop, I do not have access to that presentation at the moment. Voice of Calling, as I'm sure you've probably guessed by now, we're a nonprofit that's led by teens for teens. I'm gonna go ahead and make the assumption you're a teen here. I also knew